Hello, this is Alejandro Bratti from Believing Yourself, Believing Your Business, and welcome to Spanglish World Networks on Single TV channel 250 and 251. Please remember to download both the Single TV app on the respective iStores on iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. The app is free and is available in Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Roku, and all smart TVs. I am extremely happy to have Anna with us today. Anna is one of my mentors. I have been learning a lot in the last months with her, and it's about a topic that for me was something that is not new. I started to learn a little bit about this in the past, but she does it in a way completely different that for me it's like magic. So I really enjoy it. I am happy to be here with you, Anna. How are you today?
I'm awesome. I'm absolutely brilliant. And I'm really happy to be here as well, because this work, as you know, is quite incredible. So anytime I get a chance to share this with the audience, it's fabulous.
And we are like in the other side of the world. I am in Mexico and Anna is in Australia. So it's like we are like really in the other side of the world. So Anna, please, I am going to start. This program is about believing in ourselves and how our belief system is really the one that help us to improve or not, like, or even stop us or start to have all these sabotages and auto-sabotage and all of that in our lives. So I want to hear first, what are you doing? Like, I know that there is a lot of things that you are doing at the same time. And then we're going to start to go back in your story of like how you started to believe and create this belief and this program that you have that is really amazing.
Yeah. Look, I mean, well, I specialize in the subconscious mind. So subconscious is something that people have been throwing around quite a bit and referring to it, but very few people in the world that actually understand how it works. I tend to look at the human mind as a computer program. So I will literally go to the back end of your computer program and we will look at your life and say, okay, what's working, what's not working. And I can promise you not just 90%, but 100% of your whole experience in life is because of the codes that we have in the subconscious mind.
Mm.
So it's quite incredible once you actually understand how it works, how easy it is to change. It's the way that I look at it is the second we're conceived, you came in with this self-learning computer, and this self-learning computer is there for survival. And it's like, okay, Alejandro, okay, this is your new family. How do we fit in? And the process of what the subconscious picks up right at the beginning will literally create your character and will create every experience in your life in the future. So it's sometimes discovering all of these can be a little bit scary because you go, whoa, I had no idea, right? But I find it super exciting. I find it exciting because for once we can actually take charge of our whole life. It's not a matter of just simply, you mentioned right at the beginning about, the beliefs will take you one direction or the other. That is sort of very much on surface, but we don't even realize that beliefs, I look at them as code. And the reason why I look at them as code is if you have an input in a computer program that is there, it will dictate everything that comes out on the other side, right? So, like right now, everybody's getting excited about all these AI tools that are coming up. I mean, if you've ever had experience, you play with ChatGPT, for example, right? I mean, all business people are starting to play with that, and it's fantastic. We were born with one. Like you actually have one of those inside you, except that it's probably a trillion times as more powerful than ChatGPT. It's literally very, very powerful, but we tend to do everything that we learn on conscious level. Okay, and conscious operates about 5% of the time. 95%, that's your subconscious mind. That's the computer program. That's where all the beliefs live. That's where all the habits live. That's where all the memories live. And they create a way that you actually see the world. So every success and every failure goes back to the computer program.
And really for me it's like amazing because at the end, I am a system engineer. So I start in the university understanding all the coding, and it's like, yeah, the code, this program is doing exactly what I think and it's doing it the way I think. And I can really create that program the way I am thinking. But thinking that I can program myself like that is like, okay, what are you talking about? Like, stop. Like, I need to understand what are you talking about. But before we start to enter to that world, because I know that we're going to talk a lot about subconscious mind and how it works, I want to understand from your point of view. I know that you have been a business, an entrepreneur, a business owner for years, like I don't know, decades. So if somebody like we have entrepreneurs right now listening or business owner, even directors of companies listening to us, and it's like, okay, you are talking about subconscious. That is something maybe woo woo that I don't understand. I don't know if that is going to help me with my business. I need results like right now. So how this relates to them so they can start to understand how powerful it is, and maybe even explain a little bit what is your background, where are you coming from.
Yeah, awesome questions. Thank you. Um, so there's absolutely nothing woo about it. Okay, what I teach is based on quantum physics. It's based on psychology. It's based on neuroscience. There's a lot of science behind the things that I teach, and because I've never studied one thing in linear form, I've sort of studied in like I had all this interest. Once I've discovered the subconscious mind, I didn't discover it. It was already there. But when I've learned about it, I just got obsessed because I've realized the superpower that we actually hold within us. Now,
Mm,
how I across it, it's quite interesting because my background is totally different. I used to work in construction. So, as a 20-year-old, somebody told me, oh, you're a girl. There's no way that you can make it in real estate. So to me, it was like a flag for a Red Bull. And I'm like, come on, bring it on. Okay. So I built a massive business. I built a business from zero to probably $250 million in real estate, in construction. So, we've over 15-year period built about 4,500 homes and shopping centers and things like that. So massive business, right? But that's because I've always invested in myself and in personal development. So it's all about, it's like, really determined. I'll walk on fire. I'll do anything. I'm just very determined, right? But what I have found is over, and anyone in business would experience that, it's not everything is success, success, success. Sometimes there is failure. You get up, dust yourself off and move on to the next thing, next. Now, no difference in real estate. Okay. Sometimes deals work out, sometimes they don't. But I remember having this conversation with somebody, and I remember that person, and this was just really innocent conversation with someone, and they go, how come you always work so hard and this person hasn't paid you, or that person and you work hard, and there's something that happens and you don't get paid, or something like this and something happens, right? And I wasn't aware of that. It's like, it's part of a deal, right? You just work and sometimes it works out. But then I've discovered, hey, there is a pattern there, right? Now, I still didn't pay that much attention to it until one day I've attracted a financial partner. So it was who happened to be my lawyer, who had a look at some of the deals that we're doing and decided he wants to become a business partner or a financial partner. Now, little did I know this was a bit of a ploy to literally steal the development. So I went from being a multi-millionaire, literally flying helicopters everywhere, to losing it all in one day, right? And
wow.
this, like, you could imagine, this was a massive shock. Now, when that actually happened, we had massive fires in Australia. So, like, I've lost 146 neighbors during that time, and we're just busy rescuing everybody. And that's when he did it. So this was just like double whammer. And as you can imagine, you just, literally just fall on the ground and you go, how do I get out? Like, how do I even get out from this? Okay. And this is what that little voice saying blueprints. Okay. There's something that's repeating, like, why? Why on earth you've been doing everything right? You work hard, you work 16 hours a day. You do everything right by the book. Why did I attract a person like this?
Mm,
Okay. That question started this whole journey. Because when I finally was able to get up and dust myself off again, I go, I am not going to start another business until I find the reason why this happened. Okay. Because I believe I like taking responsibility for everything that happens in my life.
uh,
And it's like, okay, so why did it happen? And I started making inquiries, and I'm like, okay, what is this? Like, people talk about this law of attraction. How do you attract people? I'm like, no, there must be something more to it. And that's when I've discovered the power of beliefs that we have. Okay.
Mm,
And I'm like, oh, but I have great beliefs, like, very good work ethic. What is belief? And what I have discovered is that um, I have held this belief that I didn't even know I had, was that, like, what I found is when I started getting really wealthy, I started to attract a lot of people into my life that just wanted good deals. Okay. So they wanted good real estate deals because we're doing investments. So I started getting those fake friends, those people that's like, oh, you're so nice. But that all they really want is just a good deal. And I started really, like, my subconscious was just cringing about it. It was like, like, I don't. So I started getting really, like, I didn't go on any social media. I was like really retracting myself from the world. And my subconscious mind got to the point, okay, you like money, but you like real friends. So it actually brings it to a surface where it gives you an experience just to see which one do you like better. Okay. And subconscious goes, I can fix you that problem. Let me get rid of the money. Now you get friends. Right.
wow.
That's a bit of an aha for me. And I'm like, this is just crazy. Like, what other beliefs do I have in there? Okay. When I've discovered how many, there's like trillions of codes in there, I'm like, I want to know what else is in there, because I don't want to go for another 15 years of hard work just to lose it again. So then I just literally, I took time out and took my kids out of private schools, which I couldn't afford anymore, and out of the house that we lived, and we went traveling and just simply simplify the life. And I'm like, I want to study this. And I started studying psychology, then I've discovered the subconscious mind. And one thing that I've discovered is the subconscious mind, when it gets coded, most of it goes in before you're 7 years old. And
Mm,
then I turned around and looked at my children who were 7 and 8, and I'm like, shit, what have I done? Okay, because I was working 16-hour days. Okay, I wasn't
wow.
home. We lived on a beautiful farm. They had animals, they had everything. Like, I thought of myself as a great parent. But when I've discovered that, I've realized, hold on a second, the fact that you're not there for your child, it's an abandonment. So it's a code of an abandonment that goes in. It actually creates the whole life. And the fact that they're going to be looking for partners, they're going to be abandoning them all the time. And I'm like, when I discovered it, I'm like, oh, Alejandro, I was just obsessed. I'm like, how do I change this? What have I done? Right.
But quick question before that part, because I believe there is something magic that happened. Like, okay, you have this loss that it's a massive loss, like really, like feeling like you are at the top of the world, and suddenly you are like cleaning bathrooms. Like, I am exaggerating, but almost like at that point. Where did you start? Like, how was that process to understand that there is a coding that is affecting you? It's like, how was, like, okay, it was a time that you were by yourself, you went to the Himalayas to find it, like, how was
No,
that process?
it was more of a search, finding experts in the world that understand subconscious mind. Okay, so anything that I could possibly find that refers to the subconscious mind, I would use the same way that I've built this business, the $250 million business, the same analogy to, like, I want to find shortcuts. Give me the shortcuts. Okay, so I didn't go and study 7 years or 8 years in psychology. I found the best psychologists in the world, and I went pay them and worked with them. Okay, and work with them and say, give me the shortcuts. What are the shortcuts here? Okay, quantum physics. Okay, once I've realized there is a relation to quantum, like, I don't know, gibberish to me, quantum physics, right? No, let me find out. Okay, go and study this and simplify it. Okay, because a lot of, like, you take a quantum physics book, yes, it will explain this stuff, but man, you get to the second page and you will have 5 dictionaries on your lap. Well, easier now with ChatGPT and all that. I'll be like, the dictionary everywhere trying to understand what it means.
Yeah.
And but then I'll find people that are very smart. And this is, again, that's how I was doing it with construction. I didn't know how to construct properties to start with, but I found people that did, and I would hire them. And I would spend time with them, with people that were much smarter in a particular area. I've applied the same analogy to finding out about the subconscious mind, psychologists, trauma doctors, people that neuroscience, neuromarketing. Now, there's probably about 1% of people in the world knows this stuff, and they usually work either in marketing or in government. Okay,
Mm,
so they can manipulate how you behave. they can sell you stuff that you don't need, right? So I'm like, okay, I want to know everything about it. So I just got really, really obsessed. And initially, it was my obsession to reverse the codes in my children, to find a way, to find a shortcut. Okay, now you cannot reverse something. Like, obviously, there are different modalities, like some hypnosis and things like NLP, neuro linguistic programming, and a whole bunch of different modalities that can remove problems out of subconscious minds, but it's one at a time. Okay, now when I came back from my trip, I actually started working as a business coach. Okay, because yeah, maybe I didn't know enough about everything else, but I knew how to build a big business. And I would, a lot of business people would call me and say, "Hey, I hit this glass ceiling. Like, I made it to $5 million, but we don't know what to do. Like, it's not working. Something's wrong with the business." So I would go in as a business coach. Within 5 minutes, I'll recognize there's nothing wrong with the business. You know what you're doing with business. What's wrong is up here. Okay, let
Mm.
me just recode it. So the things that I was learning, I was actually using it on them, and they go, "Wow, that worked. Can you stay here and recode my manager and this manager and this manager and this manager?" Right? So all that stuff, and I was just showing them how you can recode the mind. And I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, so it was a bit of a journey, but it wasn't an awakening as such. Like people refer to, I'm going to go sit on the mountain and suddenly, there already
Yeah,
is
I know.
a lot of study behind it. But what I have done is connected the dots. It's like, hold on, but quantum physics says this. You can even study some of the religions. Like, I'm not talking about the basic, just let's go to church type of religion. But at the highest level, if you actually start studying a lot of them, they actually align with science, align with a lot of things, and you go, why don't somebody connect the dots? Okay, and that's what I have done for the program. So for the last 15, 16 years now, we've just ticked a year. For the last 16 years, that's what I have been doing. And I wrote a book. Again, I had a horse riding accident, couldn't walk, and I'm like, what am I going to do now? So I started just typing things, and it suddenly was just like all trying to download the knowledge that I had ended up being in a book. And from the book, I get so many inquiries of people, how do you do that? And I'm like, that's page 94 or page 73. And eventually created a support trainings to help people navigate that. And right now it's just, I'm teaching people all over the world, not how to fix your problem, but how to know what the problems are, because that is the hardest part. Okay, fix the problem. It's, do you know that there was this little story about somebody getting paid $1 million for pressing a button to
Yeah.
fix something? Okay, you don't actually get paid for pressing the button. The actual recode is simple. Knowing how, okay, and the actual intricacies of what is the actual problem, just like in a computer program, right? You can reprogram the computer really easily once you know what the problem is. Same thing with this. So that's what I've created. And I teach people how to do it themselves. So it's not like, not giving you a fish, I'm going to hypnotize you, fix you up. None of this, woo-woo stuff. It's like you actually get the reins, and it's like, this is how you do it. Go and do it yourself. So if something happens 5 years down the track, you know how to fix it straight away.
And there is something key that I believe you said that I'm going to put a little bit of emphasis. When you had the situation with your partner at that time, the business partner, and he like stole all the money and or the thing that happened, your reaction was not like, oh, this guy again, and this is like, why this? And so what I heard that you were saying is, what is happening in me that I am attracting that situation? And that is key, because when I take ownership and responsibility and decide, like, okay, there is something that I can do about this, even when millions of dollars disappear in one day, and it's something that I can do about it, you can start to find the answer. But if you are in the process of, I don't know, I need to blame the whole world that it's a mess or blah blah blah, at the end all the fault is everywhere and you can't do anything about it because it's not in your hands. So that's where I see, like, really, like, you can become obsessed because you have the power, you have the responsibility. and you can fix it because it's in your hands. It's not in your partner's hands. It's not in your family, your kids, in anybody else. It's in yours, and that's
100%. Taking the ownership and taking the responsibility for it, yeah, absolutely, it's number one. But for a lot of people, that's a hard thing to swallow because they go, "Well, how can you say this is I attracted?" Like like you look at something that happens really bad and go, "How can I be at fault?" Like looking back at that, I thought, "There's no way. Like I did everything correct." Okay, but I had enough intelligence to go, well, hold on a second, there is something in me that attracted that person in. Okay, and that is what opened this whole inquiry and this whole journey for me by just simply saying, okay, what is it? If it was my fault, what was it? Okay, now one thing that and one thing that I teach people is that everything that happens to your life is based on the code that you have. Now, most of it got in before you were 7 years old. So just let's think about it. At 7 years of age, or six, or five, or four, you had no choice whatsoever what was going in. And in fact,
mm,
one of the things that I teach is our thinking, reasoning mind, the conscious mind, doesn't even develop till you're 7 years old. So most of the things, so probably 80% of the codes that you currently have would have gone in before 7 years old, which means literally your mind, which is a million times more powerful than our thinking mind, was so open that anybody that walked past, whatever rubbish they threw into it, that became your algorithm for your life. Okay, so when I say it's my fault, well, yes and no. Okay, so one of the things that people really get out of our training is to understand that yes, we are responsible for the change, but it's not our fault that our life has turned out the way it is.
mm,
Okay, because like people, there's this saying, and I think it's a Buddha's saying that thoughts create our reality. Okay, everybody repeats this over and over again. Thoughts create our reality. Great. One thing that I argue always is they were never your thoughts to start with,
mm,
right? So get yourself off the hook from that perspective. Now, that's not to say that now that you know, it's not your responsibility to change, because it is,
yeah,
right?
I love that.
And this is why, like when I do mind recoding with anyone, I don't judge people because to me, every human being is just a whole bunch of codes that got thrown in your childhood. So whatever it is that has happened until now, okay, let's just simply analyze it, find out what the error codes are, change them, and now you get a different output. Same thing with like ChatGPT, right? If the stuff that you're getting, like you input something and then it gives you something that's like totally wrong, and you go, that's rubbish. Okay, you can spend all your life blaming that rubbish that it's doing it to you, or you just go, hold on a second, let me just change the input. Okay, you
And
change the input.
what I want to do now is to explain a little bit to everyone what is really what we mean with those coding and that things. So in my case, I have two little kids that are exactly in the ages where they are open and they are. And there is a simple example because really I have talked with about this with a lot of people, and they have this question like, okay, but how I am coded, like why you, or even if I say something about that traumas that I found from my childhood, and like even I was talking with my mom like last week, and she was like, oh, it's incredible, you were very traumatized and I didn't have a clue that you were traumatized. And it's like, I know. So that's why I want to give some examples today so people start to understand. One simple example that happened to me last week. uh, I was taking care of the kids, like we were preparing to go to sleep and everything. And my wife not wasn't at home. She was still at work, and she was coming back home. And she called me, and she wanted to talk about all the things that happened in her day. But at the same time, it's the hour that the kids have with us, and they want to play with me, and that's exactly the hour that they want to play. This is the moment that I want to play with daddy, and they allow me to have this conversation. I am working at home, but it's like they are not like disturbing. But when it's that hour, it's like it's our time. I don't care what do you have. So I received that call and we were talking, but they were like doing a lot of noise, like I am here. Hello, it's my time. Like, so I tried to say something like that. And at the end, what happened in my case is that because I couldn't hear what my wife wanted to tell me, I started to say like, okay, guys, stop. I need to listen to my wife. She has some situation that she wants to explain to me. They didn't listen like the two, three times. And the third time I was like, shh, like it's enough. And suddenly they started to be like quiet. But I was like, okay, now you can talk. And suddenly I heard that the little one was at the bathroom crying. And I got it like at that moment, like, okay, I am creating a program in him at this moment if I don't move myself and do something about it. It can be something like even simple, like stupid if we want to say, but in reality, he took it like it's not important what I want to say, it's not important my hour, it's not important. A lot of things that he can start to think about it. So I said to my wife, it's okay, you can understand. You can tell me in 2 hours what is exactly what happened. Not at this moment. I need to take care of my kid. And I went to, well, our kid. I went to with him. I charged him, and he's like, okay, sorry, I didn't want to you need do anything about it. And I started to talk. But that little thing, if I don't take care, creates a program in him.
Yeah.
That's a little example. For example, I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to say something
That's
else.
yeah, that's absolutely spot on. And this is what I mean that I got obsessed when I discovered this. Because little things like this, what we often there is lots of talk about traumas and things like that, right? And normally on a conscious level, when you think about trauma, you think about somebody got shot, went to the war. We think of something super traumatic, right? For the subconscious mind, trauma could be a parent not showing up to your school performance. Okay, it's a trauma with a little t, but it gets coded exactly the same way. What you've just explained was a perfect example of that. Okay, so the second, parent just says, it's literally just saying, so the codes that would have gone into your son, it's like, I'm not important, I'm not worthy of your time. There is something that's more important than me. Not worthy, not this, and it's not good enough. Just a whole bunch not to be seen, not to be heard. A lot of adults that I'm dealing with, like let's say, we have a Zoom call at the beginning of, because we got 5-day challenges, 5-day trainings. Day one, hardly anyone puts camera on. Okay. These are just children that were not allowed to be seen.
Mm,
Seriously, in adults form. Right now, by the time we get to day 5, we get most cameras on and people are talking, which is great. But there is this, this reserve. It's like, am I good enough to do this? Am I, now people in businesses deal with different things. But all these little things like that, we all have gone through them. Okay, just different shades of it. I'm yet to meet a person that doesn't require a recode, because it's literally like you get a phone. When you think about it, you get a phone, it tells you every 2 months there is new upgrade to the system. Press a button, upgrade. How often do we do this to our mind? Do
mm,
you know that right now we've got this whole world is operated by 7-year-olds? That's why we got all this drama going on, because we got reaction of a 7-year-old stuck in an adult body, right?
mm,
And because 80% of that got coded right at the beginning, the 20% that you pick up, you just pick it up from someone else. So from somebody else, some other 7-year-old. Does that make sense? So our growth is just so limited by the subconscious mind. If we would just simply do what the phone does and say, hey, let's just upgrade your system. Okay, it's no longer 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. Okay, we're in 2024. Press a button, collaborate it to what it is that you need right now. Subconscious is a super protective mechanism, and it works. It worked when you were a child. Okay, it helps you survive, but we don't want to survive. We want to be thriving. And
mm,
one of the things, Alejandro, that I see with, especially with business people, with entrepreneurs, one thing that I've always had, and this was also the reason why I built a $250 million business, was that as a child, my parents had huge, huge expectations. Okay. And this is an example that I used in one of my trainings. I remember when I was a kid and I came home with an exam that had 100% on it. And I was so excited. I couldn't wait to go and show it to my mom. Like, look, I got 100%. And my mom's response to it was, I wouldn't expect anything less from you. Talk about deflating tires, right? I was like, really? But that was a replica all over like one. So it was okay. So those two codes. First one is like you really have to jump the hoops in order to feel love. Okay, because you got high expectations. So in order to feel like you actually even belong to this family, you have to jump really, really high. Okay, huge expectations. But 100%, that's your benchmark, and you will not get a pat on the back when you get there. Okay, so forward 20 years when you're in business, when do you stop? Like, no, you got to mount, you got to earn more. And like, I was earning so much money, it was probably enough for 5 generations. Why did I have to spend so much time away from my kids? Because it was like an internal need that I have to do that. Did I ever feel fulfilled? No. Did I
Hmm.
ever feel like I'm not good enough? Yes. Okay, because I was always surrounding myself with people that were doing more and more, and it got to the point where it's like, who's got bigger boats, who's got bigger helicopters? Did I need any of that? No. Okay, and I discovered that once everything came crashing down, and I spent time with my family just camping, and it's like, wow, life actually can be, really good when you get to the basics of it. And so right now, what I teach is how to be authentic, how to get rid of all these codes that are driving you, that you actually realize that what we need in life is actually quite simple. That doesn't mean you cannot build a $250 million business, but you're going to build it because it's fun and you want to be creative and you want to be, you're not going to be building it because you're trying to prove somebody wrong. You're not
Hmm.
building it because, your parents, you want to make your parents proud. It's got nothing to do with it. It's like you're doing it because you want to, and it's fun.
No, I love it. And really giving like another example to move to the next space on how you do it. I I remember when I started to work with you, something that I found was myself having like this top, like I was doing business and I was good, point. I can do it, and I started to go down, like my money not really flowing again, and then I started to do good, and again a little bit. And something that we have started to, and it's this is being vulnerable, opening a little bit of what happened, but there were two codes, but I'm going to explain just one here. When I see my childhood, what I started to see at that moment was really the families that had money at that time that I remember. I am not saying that they were the only families, but the families that I like impacted in me, that were rich, were families that, from my point of view, were broken. So it's, I am not saying that it was broken. That was my point of view as a child of 6, 7 years old. And I was looking at like, okay, if you have money, you have a family that is broken. That's what I saw.
Yeah.
So, and really, I started to work, and I don't remember, I started to work, and I made a lot of money, and I started to like even save a lot of money. And it's like, I was feeling like I can do whatever I want anytime that I want. Uh, but when I got married and I started to create a family, somehow without me really noticing what I was doing, even when all the knowledge that I have in finances, I started to get rid of money. And it's like, I don't understand why I'm getting rid of money, like doing like, and really was that goal of exactly what you were explaining about yourself. Like, okay, if you want to have a real family, you need to get rid of this money. There is no way. That was the coding. That is not a good coding, but that was my coding.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what was happening. I was like I need to get rid, because that way I can have a family that I can love, and I can have the kids that I always wanted to have. And it's like suddenly that was stopping everything. And it's like, wow. And understanding that and changing that, because at the end it's acknowledging that little kid and acknowledging everything that needed to happen, and change the code of, it's okay, it's safe, it's not, it was those two families maybe that were like that. And I am not even sure that that was the case, but that was only my understanding and my point of view as a kid at that moment.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's this perfect example. That example, I see this all the time. When you see parents arguing over money, it's like, okay, money creates arguments. That's a conclusion subconscious just puts it in. Okay, and then it's like, I don't want to have arguments, so better not have money. And it's just, there's so many different, like, you watch any of the kids shows, like I said, as a child, if you're watching cartoons, have a look what wealthy the wealthy person is shown us. It's usually somebody greedy, somebody that's doing nasty things, right? A child sees that, subconscious codes it in. That's the case. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be that person. So fine, I'll fix it for you. No money for you. Right? So it's incredible. And look, like I said, when you first discover this, it's like literally opening the Pandora box and looking through your subconscious mind, and you go, oh, God, right? So the first thing, like what we find is, when a lot of people go onto this journey, they go, huh, all right, I've got a lot to deal with. But on the positive, on the flip side, is there is a way of recoding that, and not only is it doesn't really matter how much of those experiences you went through, the recode is the same. So it doesn't matter, like, again, if you put it onto overlay it on a computer program, it doesn't matter how much of the experiences you've had, or the output that you had in life that's been absolutely terrible. It's a still, whether it's been a little bit terrible or a lot terrible, it really makes no difference, because it's just the same code. All you have to do is just change it, right? Once you change it on a subconscious level, everything changes.
And let's start, like, I feel that right now it's like, oh, I start to get it. Like, what, like, there is a lot of coding that maybe that resonates or not, and all the things. And maybe even if somebody in the audience have any questions, if you are in the social media, you can ask it. But from my point of view, it will be like great to move to the place of, okay, now I understand my subconscious is the one that is sabotaging or creating this belief that the things are red, and even when because I don't see any other color because everything is red. So
Yeah.
uh, how is the recoding, how you start to understand, and how we can put it like in a way that people can understand, like, okay, it's not something woo woo, it's not like we are going to put you in in trance, in, I don't know, in a difficult way. What is the thing that you started to find, how easy is to program the subconscious mind in a way that you feel that you are in control, and they are feeling all the time that you are in control, not really, oh, it's okay, great, Anna, but I hope that you don't put anything wrong there
Yeah.
when you record me. So there is a lot of misunderstanding on this. So
Yeah. So the way that we do it, the actual process is through hypnosis, but it's through self hypnosis, which is really important, because I teach you what it is that you say and you create it, and then we insert it. So we're actually bypassing the conscious mind. Okay, a lot of people use affirmations and they go, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy. And your little voice in your head says, yeah, right. What about this? What about that? Right. And you just end up with an argument in your head. So you need to bypass your conscious mind, and the way you do it is through hypnosis. Okay, but I don't want to be the one doing it for you. Okay, I want to teach you how you can do it to yourself. Okay, first of all, let's find what the problems are. Let's reverse them. Let's write reverse codes for each one of those. And then you actually create your own self hypnosis. So, and I'll take you for the whole, like the 5-day challenge that we run literally takes you for the whole process. So by the time you finish, you actually create, and it's something that just literally listen to at night. Very, very simple. But what's important is to understand how to write the codes. Okay, like most of the time when I see people, because they kind of seem a little bit similar to affirmations, but when I see affirmations, I cringe, Alejandro. Like the amount of times that I actually see things that people input, no wonder they have that kind of output in their life. So perfect example. I was preparing for a TEDx talk the other day, and I asked the audience, like, who here is a problem solver, right? No
and
one knew.
everybody was a program
Right?
solver.
Everybody was like, yeah. Because normally it's actually a good thing for on a conscious level. You think like, I used to hire problem solvers, right? I would pay them a lot of money because it was perfect. Okay, but the second you assume that that's who you are, life has to give you something in order for you to prove that that's correct. What would it be?
Problem.
That's it. So what do you actually insert? What seems like a good idea on the conscious level, on the subconscious, you got to be very, very careful about. Okay, because again, if you realign that, if you put that into your subconscious mind, subconscious is going to be bringing experiences to prove it correct, right?
Mm.
You don't want to have problems in your life. Okay, so like let's say, one of the things that I always insert is life is simple, easy, and fun. Business is simple, easy, and fun. Okay, those codes are so powerful because literally subconscious mind will be searching for experiences to prove it to be correct. And guess what? Business can be simple, easy, and fun. And so can life.
And that reminds me another code that, for example, we always, when we finish our day and we have the kids, we have a praying and a meditation time. In the praying, I remember that my wife, like all the time, she was repeating, like not all the time, but sometimes when she's in a different situation in the work, she was saying, "And please help me choose my battles." And that
Ooh.
was something that she was saying like constantly. And one day I was like, "Okay, do you know what you are saying when you are saying that? What if you are saying, 'Let me choose my battles'? What do you think your subconscious is looking for?"
Wow. Right?
Exactly. And it was like, because that was exactly what was happening every day. It's like, okay, the battle was this, the battle was this, the battle was this. And suddenly, of course, everything is a battle because you are programming your mind to look for battles. Uh, and at the end, and that's what you are saying. It's at the end, it's not only transforming yours, but suddenly you start to see and hear, like, even the codes in the different people, like, oh, look, this is a programming that you have. I use it now with my kids now. I'm giving examples. Like I started to see that one of my kids didn't want to speak, like use his voice to speak at the school. And the only thing that I started to do at night was, and we are so happy that Daniel has a very powerful voice and everybody wants to hear his voice. Always. He is very worthy and everybody wants to hear what he has to say. And I repeat that like every day for a couple of weeks. And suddenly, Daddy, everybody's saying this and this. And it's like he started to embrace what I was saying. Uh, and that's exactly like a way of recoding, especially when they are kids and they are in that age that they are just getting what, oh, my dad said that I am good at talking. I have to talk, you know?
It is so powerful with children. Like we've just created a program which is for 8 to 11-year-olds because this is the process where the mind slows down because the conscious mind develops, right? So it's like slows down by a million, so a million times more powerful. It's just subconscious. So your children are still at the million power, and then after the year 7, it goes into like 40 beats a second. So this one's 40 million beats a second. This one's 40 beats a second, right? So it's just, so that's why it's much slower. That's why it relies on the codes to actually just bring the experiences that you already know to be correct. So it just simply looks for confirmation. But it's absolutely correct. So it's, the analogy, like let's say if I was to, if I was to ask you how many red cars have you seen over the last 24 hours, you'd probably go, maybe this one, maybe that one. Okay, you'll probably come up with a number. But if I said, okay, from now on, in the next 24 hours, I'm going to give you $50 for every red car that you see. Okay. I'll promise you, you would even call orange red. You would call burgundy red, right? And you would collect
Even the
some.
black one is real.
Right. That's right. So that's how mind works. Okay. Once you have a belief or some kind of code in there, it's searching for it
Mm.
constantly. Okay. So with your wife, absolutely correct. Change it into, Lord, help me find, the joy, like choose my joys tomorrow,
Mm.
right? Rather than battles. Or, or like I I sort of talk about this as I literally, like I'm a magic moment collector.
Mm.
Okay. And wherever I go, like, you look at little children, they see magic everywhere. Why? Why? Because they look for it.
Yes.
right? Adults stop looking for it, they look for problems. So here they are. So change that on the subconscious level, and your whole life just changes. Your whole perception of life just changes.
I love that. So let's start to, before we don't have time to start to understand how people can connect with you, how is this process? Like, okay, I you got my attention. I need to understand how to make something about it. I have a lot of ideas of things that I need to fix or change in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a link that I've given you. So this is if you want to do the fight. Like we've got a 5 day challenge that goes 1 hour per day, unless you're a VIP that it's 2 hours per day. But literally, this is just like the simplified. We do have a 5 months program, but I've taken the 5 months and I've taken 5 best things out of it and put it into like a 5 day, like just like a testing thing for you to actually test what this is about. In the 5 days, you will get a huge understanding of what the subconscious mind is, how it got coded, and as you have seen here, I use very simple language. Okay, I don't like fluffing around with quantum physics, fluffing around with medical terms, because people will get lost. Okay, I want to do it in such a way that an 8-year-old can understand it. Okay, so that's why I use metaphors all the time. So in the 5 days, day one, we will get a really good understanding of what the subconscious mind is and how it got coded. You will also learn about what sort of effect it has on your health. Okay, if you have health issues, you have to do this. Okay, this is not like it's everything in your health, physical health, is related to your subconscious mind. It got coded to actually create those problems. Okay, and you can go and reverse them. So any emotional pain, physical pain related to subconscious mind. So that's day one. Day two, we talk about just different human manipulations. Okay, we are not aware of them, but subconscious uses it. How to get out of it. So let's say if have you ever been guilt tripped into doing anything? Sometimes, right? So I'll show you how to get out of it. So that's day two. Day three, we're going to talk about money. Okay, people have so many troubles with money, not being, and this is just real misunderstanding what money actually is. And when you understand on a subconscious level, I'll give you paradigm shifts that literally just get rid of it. The VIP group, I literally take them through a process where we just erase all the money blocks, which is pretty cool. Day four, we talk about love life. Okay, so many, even I've worked with a lot of very successful people that might be successful in business, struggle in relationships. Okay, there is a reason why, and it's the link that the subconscious has created to what love actually means. Okay, so sometimes love means performance. Okay, which actually doesn't translate to relationships. So all these things just get recalibrated. And then the last day, I'll teach you how to communicate with subconscious mind. Really, really good fun. So lots of information, and within the 5 days, that's it, fixed. Okay, whatever problems you're dealing with, you can fix it. So it's a very, very powerful program, and I run them on a monthly basis. So if you just follow the link, you get through to it, and come and join us next month. It's really powerful.
And you have something else that you give to the people that is in the VIP, and this mask assessment that
Yes.
is.
Yeah, mask assess. Yeah, mask assessment. This is probably the best assessment I've ever come across. Not because I've created it, but it's seriously subconscious creates different masks. The way that we show up into the world. Okay, some people are the perfectionists. Some people are intellectuals. Some people are comedians. Some now subconscious has created there's a 21 different masks, and it creates a blend, custom made blend for you. Okay, so when you do the character assessments, it tells you this is who you are. That's not who you are. This is the way you're showing up to the world. Okay, so this mask assessment will probably take you about an hour to fill it out. But once it's finished, it'll give you the result. It will tell you what percentage of each mask you've picked up, and it will tell you what codes need to be changed. Super powerful. This technology took us about 2 years to develop, and anyone that actually comes into VIP. The VIP upgrade is $297. It's like nothing, but you will actually get the results, and it will allow you to change the codes in it. Okay, so
Yeah,
super.
you
Yeah.
work the whole week talking about those quote masks. So really, the mask for me was something like really eye opener, because it's like, yeah, that's exactly me, and that's me, that's me, that's me, and suddenly it's like, oh my god, that's why I am acting. and even attracting this type of people, because at the end that is also what happens. If I have the mask of perfection, suddenly I start to look for my friends and it's like, okay, they are perfectionists exactly like me. Or if
Yeah.
I have this mask of, I don't know, superstar, that's again also something that is attracting the people, and it's like, oh my
Mm.
god, that's why I am attracting superstars, and they are, but I hate that part on them, but that means that I hate it in me too. But it's that part of, and that happens a lot again when you start to like realize who you really are and start to eliminate all this mask. It's like you are going to start to see that there are some friends that are not going to continue to be there, because at the end you were attracted because of that competition that you had with the perfectionism, and suddenly, no, I am more perfect than you, I have more problems than you, and it's like we compete even with the problems. How many problems do we have?
You know what's
So
what you're actually
yeah.
saying? One of the biggest, best examples is people pleasers. Okay, people that are like, want everything the best for others. Okay, they get so exhausted and they don't feel appreciated ever. Okay, everybody loves people pleasers, but guess what type of people you attract into your life? You attract a lot of narcissistic people that are going to be taking advantage of you. You get rid of that mask, okay, suddenly you've got nice boundaries around you, and the people that you're attracting are self-sufficient. How cool is that? Okay, and you can do that just for a simple recode.
I really, everybody that is here, if you're listening and you believe a little bit on what I have done and I am saying here, really what Anna is doing is something completely different, amazing, and really is going. I know that we are normally looking for these pills that can fix everything. It's not a pill because you will need to do your work, but it's quicker than almost any other thing that I have seen or I have worked until now. Uh, and is understanding how to code yourself, how to really put the, okay, I am going to take the keys of my car and I am going to drive it, not anybody else, not anything else, but really start to understand how to do it yourself. And that's in a nutshell what I can say about, okay, I have a subconscious mind that is so powerful that can take everything and do everything, but I don't have the keys. I don't know how to manage or drive that subconscious mind, and that's exactly what you are doing, helping us to understand
If I
the
could just add
coding.
one thing to this, absolutely. I look at human mind is literally like a driving a Ferrari. Okay, but most people drive it with 300 handbrakes on, foot on the pedal, and doing this to the engine, and then getting overwhelmed and going into panic attacks. Okay, that's because you're driving full on with handbrakes on. Okay, so what we're doing is take a foot off the pedal, release those handbrakes, now drive. Okay, and then you get a super powerful car. So yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Come and join me. Next challenge is starting with. I'm running one right now, so you can't get into this one because it's halfway through. But we are running one next month. So just hop on the website, have a look which one, and come and join me. You'll love it.
So thank you, Anna, for being here today. We are at the end of the show. Just maybe one last phrase or one thing that you want everybody to remember to close the program.
Whew, huh, you got me. What will be? Do you know what? I think the biggest quote that I have ever come across that really made a big difference to me was enlightenment comes when a wave realizes it's the ocean.
Mm,
Not a lot of people will get that. But what it actually means is that we have the power of the ocean within us, but we're just playing as a little wave. Okay, when
mm.
you realize wave is an ocean and allows the subconscious mind to just release, release this superpower, that's when you that's when fun
Wow.
begins. So, and
This
the
is the
quotes,
first time I hear that, and it's amazing. I love it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And life is simple, easy, and fun. That's the way it should be. Okay, come and join me, and you'll find out that's exactly how life should be, and that's the way it is.
Awesome. So thank you, Anna. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. We are still some minutes from the program, but thank you, even Eduardo, for this. Everybody, thank you for today. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. The Spanglish World, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and leave it. Thank you, Anna. Thank you all. See you next
Yeah,
time.
yeah, you're welcome.